Hey guys, what's up? It's Brendan from Heartbreaker Guitars Las Vegas, and today we are in Santa Cruz, California at the Rick Turner Renaissance Guitar Shop with none other than Mr. Rick Turner himself. And Rick, we have one amazing guitar we have to talk about today. Please introduce us to what you have here.
Great. This is Turner Model 1, number 003. It's the first guitar that went to Lindsey Buckingham in this style. That he wound up using this as his main stage guitar for almost 22 years.
Okay, Rick, so why don't you take us back to the beginning? How did this all start with your relationship with Lindsey and Fleetwood Mac and then the Model 1 guitar?
Sure. This goes back to 1976 for me. Fleetwood Mac was in the record plant in Sausalito starting to record Rumors. And I got a message from John McVie saying, could you please come down to the studio? And, you know, John had an Alembic bass, and he wanted me to come down and do some setup work on it. So I did, and sort of fell into a nice friendship with the band. And John and all of them, Mick and Lindsey in particular. Lindsey and I had a similar folky guitar player background and, you know, fans of a lot of the same music. And so I started working on Lindsey's guitars. I put Stradblaster into his Stratocaster and did setup work and fret work and so on his Les Paul. John started acquiring more Alembic basses from me during the Rumors sessions. And Lindsey and I talked a lot about guitars and what would be an ideal guitar for him. And at the time at Alembic, we were doing these neck-through body construction instruments. And there'd been the basses were very popular, the guitars were not. I came to think that it was not the active electronics that people were objecting to, but that it was actually the construction of the instrument itself. With this neck-through body style, I thought it was locking the tone in a little too tightly. And because the wood in a guitar, or the construction of the guitar, basically tells the strings how to vibrate. The neck and the body are taking certain harmonics out of the string. They're reinforcing other harmonics, and it's different for each style of construction and the woods. So I started thinking about it and what guitars I particularly liked the tone of. And it came down to, I liked the warmth and the sustain of the original Les Paul Customs that had the all mahogany body, didn't have the maple cap. I also liked SGs, but I felt that they had maybe a useful range of about an octave because the necks are so whippy on those things. I liked the clarity of a Strat, and it wasn't just the single coil pickups. It was the maple neck rosewood fingerboard that I typically liked. So I started piecing these materials together in my head, and I started thinking about body shapes, and the body shape of the Model 1 came from about an 1825 European guitar that I had, which was symmetrical of the bass side of the guitar. So I added a cutaway to it and thought, well, now I want a lot of mass down the center of the body, but I don't want to make these too heavy. So if I do an arched top and an arched back, I'll reduce the overall mass while retaining this central mass down through the center of the body, the bridge and tailpiece area. And so bit by bit the concept came together. Alembic was already, every Alembic bass neck resulted in a piece of scrap. And if I went with a stacked heel in a Spanish style construction, scarfed on neck, I could take these scrap pieces of Alembic bass necks and turned them into guitar necks. When I left Alembic in November of '78, I took the design with me. Alembic was not interested in producing these, and Lindsey had already told me, when you get one together, I want to try it. So I left Alembic in the last months of 1978 and set up a shop in Marin to build, specifically to build the Model 1 guitars. 1979 came along, and I had the first 3 of them together in the spring. I took this one down to Hollywood, where Fleetwood Mac was rehearsing for their Tusk tour. Went to the soundstage where they were recording, or where they were rehearsing, and Lindsey Buckingham's guitar tech at the time, put it up on the stage. The band hadn't gotten there yet. Lindsey rolled in first. We were way in the back. God, it must have been close to 250 feet away. Lindsey just went on stage, picked up the guitar, started playing it, and after about 45 minutes, the band came in, started playing with him, and at one point, Lindsey yells back at Ray, says, "Hey, Ray, leave the Les Paul and the Strat and the Ovation at home. This is all I need."
Wow.
It was one of the most thrilling moments of my life as a guitar maker.
Yeah, definitely a defining moment in guitar building, and I mean, here it is today.
Yeah.
How many years later is it now?
We are 40 years past the design stage, going into the 40th anniversary of building these. So, yeah, I mean, I am a vintage guitar maker. Was vintage is 25 years, so 40 years, that's definitely vintage.
Oh, the guitar sounds amazing, and you know, it's interesting that the evolution of the guitar over the last 40 years, it hasn't changed a whole heck of a lot, has it?
No, the original concept was a good one. You know, I see any of these designs as having an essence, and even with the little changes I've made over the years, some of them more functional, some of them more aesthetic. But the core essence of the design has stayed exactly the same.
Right.
You know, the idea is what it is.
Right. Now, this guitar toured, you said, for about 22 years.
20, yeah.
Was it also recorded on any Fleetwood Mac albums?
Well, yeah, certainly on live stuff. Lindsey used a wide range of guitars in the studio. So yeah, this guitar is on some studio stuff. I don't think even Lindsey would know what guitar is on exactly what cut of which studio album. But if you're talking live, yeah, this guitar is on their live recordings, and I believe he used this a lot in the video of the dance. By that time, that first day Lindsey got this, the funny thing was, after the band had played a bit, Mick came back and said, "Okay, Rick, we love the way this guitar works with the band. How fast can you have another one? We need a backup." And so Lindsey got number 16 as well, and that was the second one. And then since then, he's gotten 6 more, I believe, including one that's a baritone. I frankly have lost count of how many guitars he's gotten from me, because he's got not only these, but also the various steel string and nylon string Renaissances. Yeah. So, yeah.
You know, it's funny you mentioned the concert, the video, the dance.
Yeah.
And for me, I'd always known Fleetwood Mac, but that was when I discovered Lindsey Buckingham as a bona fide guitar player.
Yeah.
And not just his playing and his style, but a tone that not only defined Fleetwood Mac, but defined him as an artist.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I just, that tone from that concert blew my mind. And ever since then, I was a Model 1 fanatic.
Yeah. I was fortunate to be at one of the nights of taping for that.
Oh, wow.
And that was a thrill. Yeah. You know, it was really something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Rick, the guitar was recorded, played on stage for many, many years. I know you've had it in your shop for 10, 15 years. Why are you deciding to let it go now?
I felt coming up on the 40th anniversary of this instrument, it was time to get it back into the hands of a player. Somebody who would enjoy it both as the collector's piece that it has become and also as a playable instrument. Not something to necessarily be taken on the road constantly, but something that somebody would really enjoy.
Yeah, one of the best things about this guitar is that I got a chance to play it before we got started, and the playability is as good as any Model 1 that I own, and I think that's great, because not a lot of people are going to take it out on tour,
right?
But they might want to sit and jam in their living room, and they can enjoy this guitar to its fullest expression, because it's still a very capable guitar.
Well, we had 39 years to work on it. I hope we got it right.
Rick, thanks a million for entrusting us with this iconic guitar. I'm not just a Rick Turner fan, as you know, I'm also a Lindsey Buckingham fan. And to have this and play this and be able to represent it for you for sale is an incredible honor, so thank you for that.
Great, Brendan. This guitar has meant a lot to me as a luthier in my career, and I'm really happy to have it going to you. I know how much you like the Model 1s, and this is probably the most played Model 1 of all times.
Yeah, I would say so. So, what do you say we go plug it in?
We'll bring in the amp.
Let's do it.
You got it.
Okay, so the question became, will this create the Lindsey tone? I'd say yes.